Today, we are exposing 5 Australian cheese slice products that look and melt like cheddar, but are so processed and padded out that they have more in common with engineered food than a real block of cheese. I will also show you the supermarket-friendly slices and one simple label trick that lets you keep your toasted sandwiches without buying into the fake cheese game. Real cheddar is just pasteurized milk, salt, starter cultures and rennet, but most singles and smoky burger slices are processed cheese products, blended with water, milk powders, emulsifying salts, acids, preservatives, colors, and sometimes palm oil. Food safety bodies allow them, but they fit the ultra-processed category that health organizations warn about. High in salt and additives and designed for shelf life and perfect melt, not simple nutrition. Let us start with the biggest name of all. Number 1. Kraft Singles Original. The Australian icon that is basically cheese in quotation marks. If you grew up in Australia, you know Kraft Singles style slices. Yellow box, individually wrapped slices, the classic burger cheese. Most people assume it is just mild cheddar sliced thin, but the ingredient lists for similar Kraft cheddar slices tell a different story. An example, Kraft Original Cheddar Style Slice product lists ingredients such as cheese made from cow's milk, non-fat milk solids, milk fat, emulsifier 331, mineral salt 341, inulin, salt, preservative 202, acidity regulator 270, microbial rennet and added water. Other Kraft Singles-style slices in North America list cheddar cheese, skim milk, whey, milk fat, milk protein concentrate, calcium phosphate, sodium phosphate, modified food starch, salt, lactic acid, sorbic acid as a preservative and colors such as paprika and annatto. So what does that actually mean? Instead of milk, salt, cultures, rennet, you're getting cheese plus added water and dairy powders, a cocktail of emulsifying salts to keep everything smooth and stretchy, preservatives to stop mold, and colors so every slice is the exact same shade of yellow or orange. From a texture point of view, Kraft-style singles bend without cracking. They melt into a perfectly even orange puddle, and they barely separate or oil off, even when overcooked. That is not an accident. That is emulsifying salts doing exactly what they were designed to do in processed cheese. So why is this a problem? Because a lot of Australians put these on children's sandwiches, thinking cheese equals calcium, protein, real food. But the more a dairy product is broken down and reassembled with salts and stabilizers, the more it fits the definition of an ultra-processed food, the exact category Australian public health experts say is linked with higher risks of obesity and other chronic diseases when it makes up a large share of your diet. On the box, the marketing pushes ideas like perfect melting cheese and good source of calcium. Underneath, the ingredient list quietly says, reconstituted dairy product engineered to melt on cue and last in the fridge for a long time. If this is what passes for normal cheese in your house, wait until you see what happens when we add vegetable oil to the mix. Number 2. Woolworths processed cheese slices. Smoky, palm oil in your cheese. Woolworths sells processed cheese slices smoky 250 grams as a burger-style melting slice. The front clearly says processed cheese slices, smoky flavor, and shows a juicy burger. Here is the actual ingredient list from Woolworths. Cheese 55%, made from milk, salt, starter culture, and animal rennet. Water, milk solids, palm oil, emulsifiers, sodium citrate, number 339, number 452, and soy lecithin. Salt, smoke flavor, acidity regulator, citric acid. Preservative, sorbic acid. Natural color, annatto. Antioxidant, 319, also called tertiary butyl hydroquinone. So just 55% of each slice is actual cheese. The other 45% is water, milk powder, palm oil, emulsifying salts, flavorings, and additives. This is where a lot of people feel tricked. Real cheddar gets its fat from milk fat. In these slices, part of that is swapped out for cheaper palm oil, a refined vegetable oil chosen for cost and melting behavior, not because your body needed more palm oil. You also have emulsifying salts to keep the oil, water and cheese perfectly blended, smoke flavor instead of real smoked cheese, sorbic acid to inhibit mold, and antioxidant 319 to stop the palm oil going rancid. So if this is cheese, why does it need palm oil, smoke flavor and a synthetic antioxidant to hold itself together? On the label, it looks like smoky cheese slices for your burgers. In reality, many critics would describe it as a palm oil fortified processed cheese product that uses smoke flavor and additives to impersonate a slice of real smoked cheddar. If you have ever thrown these on a Friday night burger because they were on special, you have almost certainly eaten this oil-boosted dairy blend. And if you are thinking, fine, I will just get the Kohl's brand cheddar slices instead, they look more natural. Number 3 shows why the word tasty on the front does not tell you much about what is hiding inside. Number 3, Kohl's tasty processed slices, 55% cheese, 45% everything else. Kohl's sells multiple sliced cheeses. Some are real cheddar and some are processed. On a busy shop, many people just see tasty cheese slices and perfect for sandwiches. Australian label comparison sites have broken down typical processed slice formulas used for supermarket tasty-style slices. A common pattern is cheese around 55%, made from milk, salt, cultures and rennet. Then water, milk solids, emulsifiers, such as 331 and 339, salt, thickeners such as carrageenan, and acidity regulators such as citric acid. Sitting right next to them on the shelf, you will often find true cheddar slices, such as Kohl's Tasty Cheddar or Westicker or Bega sliced cheddar, with just milk, salt, starter cultures, and enzyme. So compare these two realities. Slice A, milk, salt, cultures, rennet. Slice B, 55% cheese plus water, milk powder, emulsifying salts, gum and acids. Both look like cheese, both say tasty slices, both melt on toast, but one is simply thinly sliced natural cheddar, the other is cheese remelted with water and stabilizers to create a uniform, bouncy, perfectly square product that never crumbles and almost never separates. Carrageenan, in particular, is a controversial thickener. Regulators such as Food Standards Australia, New Zealand allow it in foods, but critics raise questions about gut irritation in susceptible people. And note that you will not find it in a traditional farmhouse cheddar. So why is this a problem? Because many Australians grab whatever says tasty slices and think they are all roughly the same. But ingredient lists like this show that even within the same supermarket and the same brand, you can have one product that is basically real cheese made convenient and another that is cheese product bulked and stabilized for cost and consistency. If you have ever wondered why some slices go stringy and oily like proper cheddar, while others melt into a uniform, rubbery blanket that feels almost plastic, this is why. And if you think choosing light or reduced fat singles will save you, number 4 is where things get really sneaky. Number 4, light singles, less fat, more water and more salts. A lot of Australians look at cheese slices, worry about saturated fat, and reach for the light or 25% less fat versions of processed singles. On the front, you see reduced fat, lighter, and sometimes health-style stars or icons. But here is the part nobody talks about. Analyses of processed singles show that many light versions keep almost the same ingredient list as the originals, just tweaking the ratios to swap some fat for extra water, milk solids, and emulsifying salts. For example, Kraft-style light singles in various markets list milk, water, milk solids, mineral salts such as 339 and 331, food acid 270, preservative sorbic acid, and colors in both regular and light lines, with similar sodium levels. In other words, to make it light, you do not magically turn it back into real cheddar. You dilute the fat with more water and powders, then use salts and emulsifiers to keep the texture looking normal. So what does that mean in your sandwich? You get slightly less fat, which is good, but you are still eating highly processed dairy with emulsifying salts and preservatives, which is not exactly a clean upgrade. This is classic ultra-processed food behavior. You tweak one nutrient, you plaster health claims on the front, and you leave the underlying industrial structure untouched. If you genuinely want a lighter cheese, you are often better off eating a smaller amount of real cheddar or a naturally lower-fat cheese, with no added emulsifiers, than switching to a light-processed single that relies even more on chemistry to hold itself together. And if you think all this is confined to supermarket aisles, number 5 is where it leaks into your cafe-toasted sandwiches and fast food burgers. Number 5. Burger cheese slices with vegetable oil, the cafe and fast food trap. Those perfectly square, bright orange burger slices you see in fast food outlets, petrol stations and some cafe toasties are often not just cheddar either. Technical descriptions of burger cheese slices used in food service note that many of them contain added vegetable oils, typically canola or palm oil, on top of the dairy fat. Use multiple emulsifiers and stabilizers to lock together cheese, oils, and water, and are explicitly categorized as processed cheese or processed cheese food, not natural cheddar. We have already seen that Woolworths' smoky processed cheese slices use palm oil in a retail slice. Food service burger slices often go even further with this style of recipe, with more added oil, more emulsifiers, colors to keep that perfect neon shade, and formulas tuned to melt fast on a hot plate and cling to a patty without splitting. Food regulators and standards describe processed cheese as cheese that has been ground, mixed, melted and emulsified with added salts, sometimes plus added fats, thickeners and flavors, and say it should be clearly distinguished from natural block cheese in its labeling. So if half your cafe meals include one of these slices, what are you actually eating? You are eating dairy fat plus cheap vegetable oil, high sodium and emulsifying salts that make it behave almost like plastic under heat, a textbook ultra-processed food, according to Australian health resources. On the burger poster, it is sold as cheesy, melty goodness. In the specification sheet, many shoppers would see it more as an industrial cheese and oil blend tuned to cost and performance, not traditional cheese-making. At this point, a pattern should be obvious. The pattern, this is not one bad slice. It is a whole fake cheese ecosystem. Look across these 5 examples and you see the same tricks repeated. Cheese content watered down, around 55% cheese in some slices, with the rest being water, powders and additives. Emulsifying salts everywhere, numbers 331, 339, 341 and 452, to keep oil, water and cheese from separating. Palm or other vegetable oils added purely for cost and melt behavior. Preservatives and antioxidants such as sorbic acid and antioxidant 319 to stretch shelf life. Colors and flavors to standardize look and taste. At the same time, natural sliced cheddars on the very same shelves show that cheese does not have to be this complicated. Bega Country Light Vintage or Strong and Bitey Light. Tasty cheese slices list just milk, salt, cultures and enzyme with no emulsifiers, flavors or colors. Aldi's Westacre Dairy Tasty Cheese Slices list milk, salt, starter cultures and enzyme as their ingredients. Australian Health Information on Ultra-Processed Foods warns that products made with multiple additives, refined ingredients and formulations not found in home kitchens are the ones most strongly linked with higher risks of obesity, heart disease and other chronic illnesses when they dominate the diet. So when you build your children's lunchboxes and nightly toasties on these processed cheese slices, you are drifting a long way from the simple fermented dairy that traditional cheese actually is. The good news is that you do not have to quit cheese. You just have to stop rewarding the worst offenders. Now let us talk about the Australian cheese slices that are actually worth your time. Now let us talk about the cheese options that are actually worth your time. You can absolutely keep your sandwiches, burgers and cheese toasties. You just need to change which slices you buy and how you read the label. Better option 1. Real cheddar slices, 4 ingredients and no extras. Look for sliced cheeses, where the ingredients list is basically milk, salt, cultures and rennet or enzyme. Brands and products that fit this pattern include Bega reduced fat, or light vintage cheese slices with ingredients milk, salt, cultures and non-animal rennet with no added emulsifiers, flavors or colors. Westaker dairy tasty cheese slices from Aldi list milk, salt, starter cultures and enzyme, again without emulsifiers or colors. These are still high in saturated fat and salt. They are cheddar after all, but they are actual cheese in slice form, not remelted cheese plus oil products. If you are going to eat cheese regularly, building around slices like these is a much more honest starting point. Better option 2, slice your own from a real block. Often the cheapest and cleanest move is to buy a block of natural cheddar and slice it yourself. If the block's ingredients are pasteurized milk, salt, starter cultures and enzyme, then every slice you cut off is automatically free from emulsifying salts, preservatives and added oils. Yes, it takes a few extra seconds. Yes, the slices will not be perfectly square, but you immediately step out of the ultra-processed cheese ecosystem and back into something your grandparents would recognize as actual food. Better option 3. Use the 5-second fake cheese test in the supermarket. Next time you are in Kohl's, Woolworths or Aldi, flip every pack of slices and ask 3 quick questions. Is cheese the only major ingredient? If you see cheese 55% followed by water, milk solids, emulsifiers and gums, it is processed. Is there any vegetable oil in there? Palm or canola oil means you are eating a cheese and oil blend, not pure dairy fat. How many numbered additives are there? One color might be acceptable. A whole line of 331, 339, 341, 452, 200, 319 and carrageenan means you are looking at a highly engineered product. If a slice fails 2 or more of those checks, it does not belong in a trolley that is trying to protect your health. Better option 4. Treat processed slices like sometimes food, not a daily staple. Australian health authorities do not single out cheese slices specifically, but they are very clear about ultra-processed foods in general. These products are often high in sodium, saturated fat, and additives. They are designed to be highly palatable and easy to overconsume, and people who eat a lot of them have higher rates of obesity and cardiovascular and metabolic disease. So even if you still love a Kraft-style single on a burger, make it a weekend thing, not something that shows up in every lunchbox every day. Use real cheddar slices for routine meals. Save the processed stuff, if you must, for the occasional nostalgic toasted sandwich. Final message and call to action. Cheese should be one of the most honest foods in your fridge. Milk, salt, cultures, time. But the 5 products we have just walked through show how the Australian market turned that into something else. Slices that are only around 55% cheese, bulked with water and powders. Formulas padded with palm oil and vegetable oils to cut costs. Long lists of emulsifying salts, acids, preservatives, and colors to keep every square identical. Light and tasty marketing that distracts from the fact you are eating a re-engineered dairy product, not just sliced cheddar. Australian food culture drifted from thick slices off a real cheddar block to plastic-wrapped singles that stretch the definition of cheese so far that regulators and standards have to class them as processed cheese. You do not have to become a food snob. Just pick one of the 5 slices from this video that you buy the most and replace it with a real cheddar slice for the next month. Feel the difference in taste, in the way it melts, and in how long the ingredient list is. If this video helped you see your cheese slices with new eyes, tap like so more Australians can protect their plate from ultra-processed cheese fakes. If you want more deep dives that protect your health and your family from the tricks hiding in Australia's supermarket aisles, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. That is how we keep making videos the big food brands would rather you did not see. Now tell me in the comments, which slice in your fridge took the biggest hit today? The Kraft style singles, the smoky burger slices, or the tasty supermarket brand that turned out to be only 55% cheese? And what is the first swap you are making, slicing your own, switching to real cheddar slices, or ditching palm oil cheese on your burgers for good?